If this video is being published, this is not how I expected it to go. It is, what is it, November 4th. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. I've been pretty confident that I was not gonna be pregnant this month. So I thought I saw a line. It'd be really early if I did. Like I said, I'm 10 DPO. Oh my goodness, okay. I'm gonna look at it. There's a line. There's a line. I'm really nervous, I'm really anxious, but this is such a blessing and I cannot wait to tell Scott. He's gonna be an incredible dad and I really can't wait to be parents with him.
No, you're not.
No, you didn't even say anything.
No, you're not. Are you really? Come here.
Are you pregnant? Yeah. Oh my god! Oh my god! Are you really?
Let's do it.
Are you really?
I knew we was set up.
This is
Congratulations, man.
He did.
We were set up, brother. We were set up, man.
I'm trying to be a good mother-in-law and not ask. Do you want me to see first? Here, you do it first.
Ready?
Go. Baby Gilbert is a 3, 2, 1.
Hello, this is Kim, Midwife on call.
Hey, this is Callie Gilbert. I was just calling because I'm 99% sure my water has broken. When I first got up to like use the bathroom, I was thinking maybe, like, I wasn't totally sure because it was just a few drips, but then I got laid back down in bed and for like 10 minutes and got back up and then it was like running down my legs.
Well, very good.
And I'm 40,
very
yesterday
good.
was my due date, if you need to know that. But so I'm like 40 and 1.
Yeah. 1, yeah. Yeah, so it's about time.
I know.
Excellent. Have you been feeling the baby move normally in the last 24 hours or so?
Yes, I have.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Well, very good. Well, let me give you some choices here.
Okay.
As to how you can proceed from here.
Right.
It can be, especially with this being your first baby, it can be an issue, truly, having your water break early, because if it then takes 24 hours
Right.
to get into labor, and then your labor is 24 hours,
Right.
it really does increase your risk of an infection.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes us want to get this going.
Get things
That
going.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Call me about 3 o'clock, and
Okay.
let's just touch base.
Okay. So it's about a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. It's been a long time since this morning. So you saw that this morning I called the midwives because at 8 o'clock when I got up, my water broke. At about 10 o'clock, I had to call her back because when I went to the bathroom, I had like a diaper, like the postpartum diapers that I bought. I had put that on right when I realized my water was breaking. And when I went to the bathroom at like 10, I saw some red blood and it wasn't too much. I wasn't too alarmed, but I just wanted to call her to let her know and make sure. And she said it's totally normal. That's like a sign that your cervix is changing. So I've noticed that throughout the day as well, that it's just kind of like I'm on my period a little bit. But other than that, I've had period cramps, but there's nothing like timeable about them. And I'm not even 100% sure that they are contractions at this point because it just feels like a cramp down low. But I've been bouncing on the ball, doing some squats, which makes the water come out more. But at 3 o'clock, which was like 10 minutes ago, I called the midwife again to check up. And right now the plan is we're about to run to Walmart and get some castor oil for the midwife, the castor oil cocktail or whatever they call it. And she said for about 50% of women, it will induce start contractions. So I'm really trying to avoid pitocin if I can. So I am gonna try that. And then the plan is for me to call her back at 7 p.m. with the knowledge that regardless, even if I start having contractions or not, I'm probably gonna head to the hospital at 8 p.m. So I still have about 4.5 hours at home, and I'm hoping that this castor oil will start something like timeable contractions. Fingers crossed. We should have a baby probably tomorrow is what it seems like if nothing's happening. And I go to the hospital like 8 o'clock tonight. I would anticipate by the end of the day tomorrow for sure, we should have a baby in our arms. I'm getting a little antsy. I'm anxious. I'm excited. And I have no idea what to expect really. It's 8:30 in the evening now. And so about 4 o'clock I drank the cocktail, the castor oil cocktail, and laid down to try and get a little bit of rest just because I didn't know what was going to happen this evening. And at about 4:45 I had what I'm pretty positive was my first like real contraction. It wasn't a mild period cramp anymore, and the next one wasn't for like 20 minutes, but since then they've been like less than 10 minutes apart. So at 7 I talked to the midwife, and she said as long as I was having contractions and I could stay at home because it seemed like labor was starting. And once we get to the hospital, there's more of like a timeline, and I'm restricted to what I can, like I'm clear liquids only, and pitocin would need to be started in a certain amount of time. So I decided to stay home, but after that 7 o'clock call, I decided to start timing them, and the longest they've been apart is like 3.5 minutes, and sometimes it's 1 minute. Most of the time it's like 2.5, and they're lasting like 30 to 45 seconds. Scott went to Chick-fil-A and got us some nuggets and fries, so we loaded up on those. We ate everything, and I just keep having contractions. So we're gonna head to the hospital because it makes me nervous. We live like 45 minutes away from the hospital, and my water's been broken for over 12 hours. And for the past hour and a half that I've been tracking the contractions, the longest they've been, like I said, was like 3 minutes. So I just wanna get checked. I wanna make sure he's okay. I do still feel him moving, or we would have gone a lot sooner, but I wanna make sure that he's okay and that these are actually contractions. Don't know what in the world else they would be, but we're headed to the hospital now, and we'll see how far I am and what's going on. It's 9:23 now, and we just got to triage, so we're waiting on like the nurse or the midwife to come check. It took about 45 minutes to get here, and the contractions were a lot more painful when I was in the car. So I'm hoping they'll hook me up to the monitors and I'll get checked and everything, and then I can, hopefully I've made some progress and I can get up and start moving. But this is triage. There's the bathroom and a monitor, but we're about to get checked. So we just got moved to the actual labor and delivery room, which I'll show you. Here's the bed, the nurse's stuff, the baby stuff, the bathroom stuff, and that'll be Scott's bed. But they checked me, and I'm 2 centimeters and 75% effaced, which is obviously not as far as I was hoping to be with my contractions being like 2.5 minutes apart. But the plan right now is, it's like 10 o'clock or 10:30, is the midwife's gonna come back and do another cervical check at 2 a.m. So she's giving me 4 hours. And if I haven't made a good bit of progress, then we'll probably have to start pitocin, because it's been, like I said, my water broke at 8 a.m. So it's been like 14 hours now, and so we don't want baby in there too long. Obviously the risk of infection goes up. My face is red because it was really hot in the triage room, and I just got up here and it feels like the AC's on, which is good. But my vitals look good, baby looks good, they can see that I'm having contractions, and they verified that my water did break. So we will be here until baby comes, but I'm bouncing on the ball, hoping to get some more progression. The contractions are extremely uncomfortable, So I really thought I was more than 2 centimeters, but hopefully I will progress quickly. Scott's gone down to the car to get the bag of snacks and his bed stuff, like a pillow and blanket that we brought for him, but that's about it. As of now, I can only have popsicles and water, but I'm gonna be bouncing. I'll probably turn the TV on to hopefully distract myself.
Okay, so it's a little after 2 a.m. At last check, Callie was 3 centimeters dilated and 100% effaced. So we've decided to go ahead with pitocin to increase the productivity of the labor. So she's on an IV now, and we're just waiting on the lab work before the epidural and then pitocin.
So it is 4:05 now. I feel so much better. Basically at like 2:40, I got an epidural, the first one, and it kind of hurt going in, and then they gave it like an hour or so, and I was still feeling sharp contractions. It really, now that I feel better, it's kind of a blur. I don't think I opened my eyes for like an hour and a half. Everybody, but the people that came into the room were talking. Scott was answering most of the questions because I was clearly in pain. So at about 3:40, they called the anesthesiologist back in. He did a second epidural, or like took out the first one and replaced it, and immediately, even like the insertion of it felt so much better. I barely felt anything, and now I feel so much better, and I can still like bend my legs, which they said is the goal, is to be numb in the painful areas but be able to like wiggle your toes and bend your legs. So right now, that's where I'm at. I feel so much better. They just started the pitocin at a 2, and they're gonna slowly go up, because I was having contractions on my own, but I don't know if they didn't think that they were strong enough or what, but they started the pitocin. I'm gonna get a catheter in like 30 minutes, but they're monitoring the blood pressure a lot, which has been good, and monitoring baby the whole time now. I have continuous monitors on, and everything looks good. I have been shaking ever since, what time do you think?
About 2:40.
Probably since, yeah, around 2 something. And really it kind of started when I decided to get the pitocin and epidural and like had to get the IV and stuff. So I don't know if it was just nerves or my body's reaction to the contractions, but I'm still having some shakes. But I'll take shakes over the pain that I was feeling. So right now the plan is just to try and rest. I think the nurse is gonna come in, like I said, in about 20 minutes now to do a catheter, and then she said every 2 hours she'll come in and rotate me, and I think every 30-ish minutes come in and up the pitocin if my contractions aren't as strong as they want them to. I was a little disappointed in myself when I decided to get the epidural and go with the pitocin route, but right this second, I feel so good with my decision. So hopefully it does its job, and we'll have a baby sometime soon. Hopefully we can get a little bit of sleep before that.
Good. Loving it. That's a girl right there. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Push, 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 push. Perfect. Push, breath. You are the best pusher I've ever met. You are so good. I'm so proud of you. Seriously, you're doing incredible. You're like crawling on the second push. It took you an hour and a half to get there. It feels like the baby's just hanging out. I know, because your baby is like this. When you're pushing, the baby's head like that much sticking out. You are incredible. The baby's sticking out, so you're going to feel a lot more constant pressure. It looks weird to still have the contraction. Want to do one more push? The baby's staying down a little more constant, and then you probably feel that like down and up a little. It's going to be a little bit more same push. Stop, 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 stop. You got that little. Okay, push. Stop. That's it.
Oh God, oh my God.
Oh my God. That's great guys. You can get that baby. Good job.
Oh my
You're
God.
so little. You are my hero. Yeah, you're good. You are good. For 15 minutes crying and that kid. Congratulations. I'm only incredible. You had a baby. You are amazing.
So it's a few hours later from the last clip where you saw our baby actually being delivered. He was born at 7:32 a.m. and right now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so he's a few hours old. But I just wanted to fill in some of the gaps because I think the last clip before he was delivered was about 4 o'clock. I had just got the epidural, the one that worked. I could still feel the tiniest bit of pressure from the contractions. I could kind of tell when one was coming on, but it was nothing compared to what the first epidural was like. So I was really, really happy to get that and hoping to be able to sleep a little bit. Well, then when you get epidural, you have to get a catheter. And so the nurse said that she'll be back in a little bit for a catheter, so I was trying not to like fall asleep, so I was staying up just happy to not be in pain. And she came back probably about 4:45 to place the catheter. And when she was doing that, she laid, it wasn't this bed, but it was like this, and she laid it all the way back and then started asking me if I was feeling lightheaded because she said that I was white as a ghost. And so it turns out one of the side effects apparently of an epidural is that it can lower your blood pressure. And so they had the cuff on me and my blood pressure had dropped to 90/50, I believe. And it stayed there for like an hour. So from about like 4:45 to 5:45-ish, the nurse and the midwife had the blood pressure cuff on me, and they would like switch arms sometimes, but they were taking it, it was getting taken like every 5 minutes, and it was staying around the 90/50. They gave me like a vomit bag in case I was getting nauseous, which I really wasn't, but I was just feeling super lightheaded and kind of out of it. And so she got the catheter in, they checked me during that time, and I was 6 centimeters. So once they were comfortable with my blood pressure, they actually called the anesthesiologist, or it was the CRNA, like the nurse anesthetist, and she came in and gave me, I barely remember this part, but I remember she came in and was saying something and gave me some kind of blood pressure medicine to up my blood pressure. But one of the side effects of that apparently is it increases your heart rate. And so I was like tachycardic, and basically from like, I guess 6 o'clock until I delivered him, so for like an hour and a half, they would come in, because every time it took my blood pressure, it measures my pulse, and my pulse would be like 120 to 130, and the baby's pulse was like 135, so our heart rates were like super similar. And so apparently that can be an indication of an infection. So then they were taking my blood pressure, they were taking my temperature to see if I had an infection, to see why my heart rate was going up, but apparently it was because of the blood pressure medicine that they gave me to up my blood pressure, but it made my heart rate increase. So that I didn't feel my heart racing, or I didn't have any like problems with that. But at about 5:30, I started feeling like I need to poop. And I told them that, but they had just checked me at 5 and I was 6 centimeters. And so I feel like, not that they didn't take me seriously, but they just said it could be, you know, the baby working his way down, and I'm sure that's what it was. But then by like 6:30, I was like, I really feel like I need to poop, like I'm holding back pooping all over. And so they were like, well, it's 6:30 and the next midwife comes and the next nurse, they switch off shifts at 7. So they're like, we'll get you checked again around 7. At 7, the nurse came in, and I was waiting on the midwife to come in to check me, and they were like, oh, we'll try to go find her. And I was like, okay, well, I either need to be checked and to be 10 centimeters and that be the issue, or like a bedpan, because I am about to use the bathroom. Something's coming out. I don't know what it is, but something's coming. So finally at 7:15, the midwife came in. It was the new midwife, because they are 24-hour shifts that switch off at 7 a.m. And so she was fresh on her shift and came in and said, okay, we'll check you. And then she stuck like the tiniest bit of fingers in. She said, his head is right there. And I said, does that mean that I'm 10 centimeters? And she said, yeah, that means his head is about to come out, so let's start pushing. In the video, you can probably see she's down there doing her thing, telling me when to push and stuff, and I'm holding my legs, and Scott's off to the side looking around. But I just grabbed my legs and they told me to push, and she recommended holding my breath while I pushed. And so she kept telling me like, oh, you're doing so good, this is incredible, he's gonna be out here in just a second. But I kind of thought she was just like amping me up and trying to be encouraging. But like I said, she checked me, she came in at 7:15 and he was born at 7:32. So I pushed for 15 minutes and he is 8 pounds 12 ounces, so pretty big boy. Me and my husband were both like 7'7" or 7'6", and I was not expecting like an almost 9-pound baby. But I do have a 2nd-degree tear, and I think that's probably like you win some you lose some. With he came out so fast that I didn't have to push for too long, but because of that I tore. And so the placenta was delivered, which was super easy. It was probably like 20 minutes later after he was born that the placenta came out, that she like basically just pulled it out, and then she had to do the stitches. So after the midwife got the stitches all done, we had probably about an hour or hour and a half of alone time where we could do what I did, skin to skin with him. We tried to get him to latch, and he would like suck for just a second, but he was not very interested in it. And then eventually we moved up to this room, which is the mom and baby room. And so we probably got here at like 9:30 or so, and we'll be here hopefully. Today's Friday and we're hoping to be discharged like by Saturday afternoon. But because he was basically, my water broke around like right at 8 and he was born at 7:30, so it was almost 24 hours that the whole process was. But because of my water breaking for so long, he is technically, both of us I guess, are at increased risk of infection, and so they're monitoring his vitals every 4 hours. And like I said, they were taking my temperature and they're taking his temperature and listening to his oxygen. And because he came out so fast, he didn't really have a chance to be squeezed as much in the birth canal, so he was a little like gargly, I guess. When he first came out, they were like suctioning him, and he cried for like an hour straight trying to get all that fluid out. But right now Scott has the baby and he is very calm, but I will show you a close-up of him in a little bit. Hey, today is Sunday, July 19th. So sweet little Roman is 2 days old, 48, well technically almost 50 hours old now. We just put him in his first outfit. He's only been wearing like a diaper and a swaddle for the past 2 days, but this little onesie from Target is actually the onesie that I used when I told Scott that I was pregnant. And now it's Roman's first little outfit. He's been cleared by the pediatrician and I've been cleared by the midwife, and so we're just waiting on like the discharge orders, and then we're good to go. Scott has been loading everything up. We have like the car seat here and the diaper bag, but I think Scott's about to take like the suitcase and stuff, and we'll be ready to go. Oh, his nose. Oh, his nose.